Hi there, I'm Sarah. So, I don't know what order this will go in, but I did just record another video. I don't know if I'm going to share that one, but I have my glasses on, and I did a little card reading and rambling session. But I wanted to continue it, because see, now that I've taken my glasses off, I honestly, I can't really see right now. Not much anyway, a little bit. Oh, it's all real fuzzy. But that's why I don't wear them all the time. Anyhow, as part of my awakening journey, which I'm just called to share some bits and pieces of that, as part of my awakening journey, I lost my vision. But I gained another sight in the process, and so I want to tell that story. But I want to start with something that happened earlier on. This was when I was living in the Santa Barbara area as a traveler. I was just passing through, I always have a backpack. It's me and my backpack. I've been called Dora a bunch, and that's still what I carry. I don't have a purse, I have a backpack. Because then it frees me up. I got two hands, and I'm able to carry more, do more, I don't know. And then I always have what I need with me. Anyhow, I was living in Santa Barbara, California at the time. I had some amazing awakening experiences there. I can't wait to share those with you more one day, soon. But anyhow, there were a series of events that took place. One of them being that I was sitting at a picnic table somewhere near the beach one day, and a man and his wife, who I believe I had met and talked with him briefly a bit, a few times before that day, but they came up and sat across from me, and he didn't say anything. He had this smile and he had on his face, and he slid a book across the table in front of me, and he's like, "Here, you're ready for this." And I was like, what is this? And it was a small book, and it was his personal book, and it was about Merlin. I wish I remembered the title, and it was small. There wasn't a whole lot to it, but it wasn't something I was familiar with up to that point in my life. And boy, did it peeled back a bunch of layers, and I got to see a part of my soul that I didn't know was there yet. Oh my gosh, so much magic. Of course, it's Merlin, but I felt so deeply connected to Merlin, and I was like, whoa, what's happening? And I had had some awakening experiences up to that point, like started in 2008 and 9, but not so much. Like, it would come and go. I would phase in and out, like go back into just like my everyday life and what was happening in my life, relationships, and whatnot. Anyhow, he slid this book across to me, and I read it. I think I read it like that day. It was small, and then I, of course, I kept it with me and reread it a whole bunch over like the course of the next year or so. And then I regifted it to someone along my path. But anyhow, something in me changed, and then it was within a few days or a few weeks later, there was this window of time that my whole reality started to like move differently, and things and people that were showing up in my reality were different. It was attracting a lot. There was a lot more synchronicity. That's what it was. I could try and explain it, but that's what it was. And it was like everything and everyone that was showing up was very intentional and purposeful. And I was noticing it more and more as such. I was like, whoa. And it's funny even how I ended up in Santa Barbara. I should mention that, because in the beginning years of my addiction, I would try to get clean. So I'd check into rehab, recovery centers, and get out, and I would stay clean for a period of time, whether it was a few weeks or a few months. It wasn't ever very long, but that's okay. Anyhow, I had been in a rehab in Utah for about a month, and I just knew, like I had this inner knowing. I knew when I got out that I needed to leave Salt Lake City. I needed to leave where I was living And not just for the purpose of staying clean, but I just wanted to. I knew it was what I was going to do, and I didn't know where to go, so I got out of the hospital, didn't have anywhere to live, so I went to the library, I got on the computer, and it just came into me that I wanted to go to Santa Barbara, California. And so I looked some information up, bought a bus ticket, and I believe that I left the next day. So that's how I ended up in Santa Barbara in the first place. And I just kept having like so many synchronous experiences and people. So here I am with the Merlin book, and something in me changed from that moment forward. And I'm laying on the beach one day, and a small splash of water, one droplet of water, landed on my sunglasses. And I looked up at it, and I could suddenly see a cell of light within the drop of water. It was like my consciousness was able to zoom in a way that I had never had before. So it was like my physical eyes were seeing, but it was also some inner sight, and I realized that I could do this when I was a child too, but I hadn't done it since then. I realized that I could zoom in and zoom out. My son actually says he can do this now as well. Well, I can't believe I'm sharing these things. Okay. So I could see the cell of light, and I could zoom into it even further and see like everything moving around in it. And I could see this drop of water. I could see the cell of light in the drop of water receiving more cells of light. And I could see it come in through a membrane and like come in and then move around in there. And of course I'm sober, but I was like, I felt like I was tripping. And it was the coolest thing ever. I mean, I was like so excited about it. And I remember like jumping up and stopping, and then I was like, oh no, I don't want to lose the vision. And so I remember sitting there and practicing for hours, going back into a drop of water and going into the cell of light and watching it receive more light. And I've had that ability since that day. And a lot of times when I'm sitting outside in the sun, I just got a little notification on my phone. That's funny. It was about success. Anyhow. Being able to see in this way, so I could like zoom in and zoom out, and I did play with it a lot after that, and a lot of the time in years following, I would sit outside and I can see the cells of light along my skin mostly. It's along our skin, and it's really hard to describe, so I won't go into too much detail. Anyhow, I was shaking. It was really exciting, and it was really hard to tell other people about. I did try and tell my husband at the time, and whilst he was excited for me, he didn't have any clue what I was talking about, and I know probably he thought that I was a little bit crazy, but he actually knew kind of I had this magic in me and these abilities that we all do. See, that's what I want to be really clear on. I'm talking about myself and my stories, and I'm called to, and this is something I never really thought I would do. Here I am. But I know that we all have our own unique abilities and a way of seeing and perceiving reality that is unique to you. And so that's why I'm sharing, is because you can find these things out for yourself and tune into them, and it changes your life and it changes the world, and it's exciting and fun, and why not? Life is short. Tune in to the magic that is you, that is me, that is us. And that we're here to see and experience and embody. Anyhow, let's fast forward now, because we're talking about vision and this sight, and I realized I had it when I was a child, and I was able to zoom in and zoom out in this way and see, make the micro to the macro, and yeah, there's so much more to it, but it's like I can't put it into words or into this video as of yet. One day I'll find a way. I used to think, oh my gosh, I wish I had like a record button on, like, I wish I had like a third eye camera and I could just hit record and show what it is I'm seeing. Maybe one day. Okay. Anyhow, then it was the year 2015, the year that I had my son, which my son's 7, my youngest son, that just happens to be one of the most magic and epic experiences in years of my life. It's 2015, and I was finally clean. That's what changed my life, and I've been clean ever since, going on 11 plus years now. Anyhow, he was about 6 months old, and this is funny, and it's just wild. So I'm reading a lot about, ascension and awakening and third eye and pineal gland and cleansing it and sun gazing. Me being me, I literally do everything with all my heart and soul. Like, I pour my whole self into it, and I just go big, go home. For better or for worse. So, rather than just practice, I didn't know the rules of sun gazing. There are specific times of the day that you can practice it safely, and for very short amounts of time. Like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, done. Well, that day, I decided I really wanted to open and clean my pineal gland, and so for hours, on and off, one day in the middle of the day, I stared at the sun, and I realized this is something I'd done as a child, though. I remember being told, don't stare at the sun, you'll go blind. Well, I did. I stared at the sun. I won't go into all the gnarly details, but I want to say this, so it did something, for sure. I went inside, and you know how when you first go inside after you've been outside for a long time in the sun, how everything is really dim, how it's like dark, and it takes your eyes usually just a couple of seconds, really, really, really brief time, and then they adjust, and you can see again. Well, my eyes never readjusted. And I could see this dot on the wall. I could see this dot wherever I looked. I could see this, but it was blank, but so it was scary. I was scared. I spent that night awake most of the night because I was looking around, because it was also magic. Like, I couldn't see, the wall in the bed and my son as well, and that was making me cry. And I was grieving already the loss of my vision. I didn't know it was going to be permanent, but I could suddenly see through the fabric of all reality, and it was so fucking beautiful. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that on here. I'm recording. What? Okay, but it was so beautiful, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know what's happening, but I could just see this. There were diamonds everywhere, and I could see, especially after the months and years following, I tuned into it all the time. In fact, it got a little distracting. I had to tune back into reality, because I would use it as a meditation, like a visualization, and pair it with frequencies and toning and chanting and things. And I can see, I still can, the overlay, and it's just like what's in and through everything. It's plasma. Now I know it's plasma, but I could see shapes, colors, tones, geometries, shining, spinning, dancing, weaving in and through and all around everything. And when I looked at my son, 7, he was just a baby, when I looked at him, it looked different. It was really white, really diamond, and it was vibrating much faster than anything else around, like me or the pillows or anything. Gosh, there's so much I could say on this. It's been such an exciting journey, but I did lose my vision to a great degree, and was later, found to be legally blind. And it took me about a year. I was grieving the loss of my vision, and I've heard that that's what happens when you lose some type of function, especially one of your senses. So I'd spend a lot of time grieving, especially because I'm an avid reader, and it was such a challenge to read. But after, I would say it was a little less than a year, I was shown and told, in visions and just inspiration, intuition, that I would still be able to see, but I needed to just practice. So I did. I would make myself read every day, a little bit, and it was fascinating, because even though I couldn't actually see the words on the page, my brain would fill in, this is where this comes in. We are superhuman, all of us. Oh, we have these abilities and things we can do that are just, you wouldn't believe, but here I am doing it. And so I was told, and my guidance, spirit guidance, my inner guidance showed me that my brain would fill it in, because our brains, it's so magic. And see, now there's a movie called Superhuman. I believe it's still free on YouTube, and it's really amazing, and they studied this. But see, at the time I hadn't seen that movie. I only saw the movie a few years ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I did. I taught myself to see intuitively, and I use that to this day to navigate life, to do everything that's needed to do throughout the day. I will say that it doesn't work so well when I'm stressed or tired or anxious or sad, when I'm really emotional. It kind of shuts off, and so it is something that I have to actively tune into. It's not always just an automatic, but it's always there. Anyhow, what else is there with this vision thing? It's incredible what we're able to do, though. Yeah, in the movie, you gotta go see it. These kids especially are really good at it. They, blindfold them, and then they'll hold something in front of them, and they say what it is. So it's beyond vision, even. It's just this superhuman. We are superhuman. We have no idea what we're capable of doing, and it's time to start exploring that. We're in a Renaissance era of consciousness. The time is now. To get busy exploring and creating and find the magic in the mundane. Because even like making coffee or making a sandwich or taking the garbage out or whatnot, there are so many signs and synchronicities and so much beauty and magic, wonder and love. Yeah. Anyhow, my son 7, when he was like, I can't remember if he was like 4 or 5, and he's always been saying and doing these things. He told me that he could see inside of his arm and see inside into his cells and other things like that. And yeah, we are so much more than we've ever been told, and that's okay, because this is part of our experience, our journey of getting to know ourselves, our full self, our multidimensional self. And in so doing, we get to, we light up our sphere, and then it sparks other spheres to life, to light up. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna leave it at that. My ears are just ringing and singing for weeks on end now. They have been for years, but there's something new. It's been like non-stop for weeks. I feel something coming. Woo! Something big, something beautiful, bold, and it's here for us as a gift. And yeah, who else here is just so excited for all that is, and for all that you are, and for all that we are, and for all that is yet to come. It's so badass. It's so beautiful. Anyhow, I hope this message has, I don't know, been a gift to you in some way or another. And that things that wanted to be shared were, received in some way. Even if it's through my voice, or through my excitement, through my experiences. Definitely start sharing if you're called to, because there's a movement happening. There's something to that. I'm experiencing life differently just since I've started to push record on this phone. Even shaking, nerves, even with nothing to hold the phone. Even in the heat of the summer, it's 100 degrees. It's not even summer yet. Oh my gosh. The joys and the wonder of living in the desert. Anyhow, love and blessings.